Shenzi, the ancient theoretician of Confucian ritual, noticed that societies are stratified into social classes based on economic, political, and birthright differences. It did not occur to him that the vast differences between the rich and the poor could be changed. He even believed that social class distinctions were a good thing because they were necessary for organizing the economy efficiently and preserving social order. But he recognized that people in all social classes should be treated humanely by each other, especially so that those in the lowest classes would have enough to live full lives. The problem with people, Xunzi thought, is that by nature we are selfish, like infants, thinking only of ourselves. Modern psychologists call primary narcissism what Xunzi notoriously called the natural evil of humanity. Moreover, although human beings have all sorts of emotional and physical capacities given in their biology, by heaven, he said, biology does not teach them to attach the right emotions to the right objects or to rule themselves judiciously. His answer to both natural narcissism and biopsychic underdetermination was ritual. Xunzi's notion of ritual was extraordinarily profound, referring not only to court and religious rituals, but to all behavior that is shaped by conventional signs. A culture has a repertoire of signs that might be very different from that of another culture, but which accomplish the same thing. For instance, standing, greeting, and speaking. East Asians learn to stand with their feet parallel. Westerners learn to stand with their toes at an angle. East Asians greet one another with a bow and the hands together. Westerners with a handshake. Speaking in Chinese or English is a difference in ritual, even when saying much the same thing. For Xunzi, a human being needs to be ritualized in order to make high civilization possible. Of the many places where ritual is important, according to Xunzi, one is the interaction among different social classes. To oversimplify his position, in a well-ordered society, rituals exist by virtue of which lower classes defer to higher classes, and higher classes provide for the needs of lower classes. In a poorly ordered society, those rituals do not exist, with the consequence of class warfare and broken economy. Everyone suffers, especially the poor. More important for Xunzi's Confucian sensibilities, in a poorly ordered society, people cannot treat one another with humaneness because their classes are at odds with one another. In a true Confucian sense, deference is not only the attitude of lower classes toward higher classes, but the attitude of anyone regarding anyone else with humaneness. The higher classes in a well-ordered society defer to the lower classes and their needs in appropriate ways that both recognize their humanity and provide for them. Xunzi sought for large-scale social rituals within which each social class could function in an harmonious dance with the others, paying deference to the others even when not sharing the values or interests of the others. Nowadays, we strive to overcome economic class differences, not to accept them, and believe in social engineering in ways in which the ancients could not conceive. Nevertheless, many kinds of differences between people exist now that prevent them from dancing with one another in a myriad project of social analysis that inquires into the existence of rituals that inhibit or prevent the expression of humaneness across social barriers, and that goes on to develop better rituals for the interaction of contending groups that allow for all participants to treat one another humanely, even while in conflict. Before we can say much about rituals that foster the expression of humaneness across barriers, however, a word needs to be said about humaneness itself. Some Western philosophers recently have been concerned to understand human beings as others. This concern arises out of two long-standing problems in Western thought. One is that when we conceive world history, or our societies, in the form of narratives, stories, some people are inevitably marginalized or ignored completely. These neglected others need to be recognized. Their experience, perspectives, and social locations need to count if they are to be treated humanely. The other long-standing problem is the conviction that a human being is a subject who looks out onto a world of objects. For any given subject, according to this conviction, other people are not themselves subjects, but rather objects, reduced to what they might be in the mind of a subject to whom they appear. The focus on otherness is a correction that cultivates the experience of other people as themselves being subjects, not merely objects. In Western thought, these 2 points are identified with Hegel and Descartes, respectively. And Professor Du mentioned this point in Descartes. In Chinese thought, they are both functions of selfishness, as the Confucians have analyzed that. With regard to the problem of humanely treating individuals and groups that have been marginalized or entirely written out of the story of a given society, rituals that exclude them can be identified and deconstructed, and new rituals can be developed so that they are engaged and their perspectives are made to count in the social whole.